Check this out, guys. Somebody finally went back to Chicago this week, and this is basically what it looks like. Drive down the street, you just have a bunch of migrants on the streets. Many of them are sleeping on the floor. The city has no clue what in the world they're doing. They took in almost 50,000 migrants, and now many of these migrants are sleeping on the streets. Chicago is truly crumbling. It's no longer a city to go to, and many of them are walking around with baggage. Many of them walking around with only socks, no shoes. It's out of control. What in the world is Chicago doing? You could take in migrants, sure, but you take so many of them in, now they don't know where to sleep. And some are even living in the Midway airport as well. In fact, nearly 15,000 migrants in Chicago shelters, but that's only a small fraction of the amount, with almost 30 to 40,000 Chicago migrants literally are forced to sleep on the streets. Some are probably a little bit lucky, maybe in like an abandoned neighborhood or somebody takes them in, but many of them are just on the streets, okay, with no place to go. Some are sleeping in tents, city buses, and even at Chicago O'Hare airports. And they're still sending in migrants from Texas. Now they're doing it straight from plane. It's getting to the point where you have the O'Hare airport shelter literally filling up. This is a really awkward situation because you have a lot of international people that go by Chicago to go to other places. They are absolutely stunned and shocked to see American airports are just filled up with migrants with no help from the city. The city are going broke. They're spending hundreds of millions on this situation, and they don't have enough money anymore. And check this out. A Chicago woman is so mad about the situation. She actually went to the city council. That's Mayor Brandon Johnson in the top right-hand corner. She's basically saying that you're spending like 100, 200, $300 million on the migrant crisis, whereas people in the south side of Chicago, people who need the money and help, get nothing. She's probably working. She says many of her friends, many of her relatives are working class Americans in Chicago, get absolutely nothing. You can kind of see how angry this woman is. She's basically saying that I and many other people voted you into power and you do nothing for us, but instead spent basically all of Chicago's resources and money on the migrant crisis. Something that she's like, okay, it's fine if you spend money on the migrant crisis, but it's not okay when you spend basically every single resource you have on the migrant crisis. New numbers show the city has spent almost $200 million on migrant-related vendors from October 22 to the present month. Imagine they spent $200 million on the south side of Chicago, all right? Open some grocery stores. Make some new infrastructure projects, create new jobs, support local businesses, and of course, crack down on shoplifting. Maybe the south side of Chicago will finally be a good place to live, guys. I'm not even joking. No wonder this woman's so incredibly mad. I don't even blame the lady. She's paying her taxes. She lives in Chicago. She's seeing all the money being drained away. And this is the thing. Like, why can't many of these American cities just be normal for once? And it just feels like going to a city that's normal nowadays is like a rarity. Like Miami is pretty normal. Look how nice it is, right? Tampa is pretty normal. Vegas is normal. Just be a rational city is what many of these Chicago people are talking about. And look at this, many homeless people in Chicago are even saying that he's voting for Trump because this is basically what it looks like. This is what the domestic homeless population look like. They basically get nothing. And it's not just Chicago, guys. New York City is the same exact thing. It's only going to get worse in places like Chicago, with many homeless individuals saying that they get little to nothing. And of course, nothing ever trickles down to them. Imagine you spend $200 million on these guys, help them out, give them jobs, give them housing, give them society, maybe even pay for a little bit of their education. They might even be super well off. And like I said, maybe Chicago wouldn't really have bad parts of town if they're willing to invest in their own infrastructure in their own city. But instead, of course, they spend all the money on the migrant crisis, which is kind of like why this lady is so fed up and so angry. So thanks for watching, guys. Comment below. Do you guys think Chicago can recover? So far, it's really not looking so great for the Windy City. See you later.